What's going on, everybody? It's Thomas DeLauer, and it is Wednesday evening. Today I'm talking about something that all of you guys have probably heard quite a bit about, and that is the good old coconut oil study that the American Heart Association came out with, or at least started front-facing over here in the last few days and last week. Figured I've had so many people asking about this one, so many people talking about it. No better time to go ahead and hop on here and give you my true thoughts about what's going on. But I have to wait for a good audience to build up. I want to make sure everyone can see me, make sure everyone can hear me, make sure the quality's good, make sure everything's rocking and rolling. Make sure you comment where you're watching from. That way we can make sure to shout you out and say hello. If you haven't already, make sure you share this video, get it out there to everybody. Comment where you're watching from, and I can say hello. What's going on in Brooklyn? What's going on in Corpus Christi? Good to see you here, Gordon. What's going on, David, in Melbourne, Australia? What's up in Montreal, Canada? Ben, good to see you. John in Atlanta, good to see you. Houston, Austin, Chicago, Houston again. We've got another one here. We've got Indonesia in the house. We've got India in the house. We've got Western Australia in the house. What's going on, Adam? We've got Minnesota, Thailand, North Carolina, Toronto, DFW, Tampa, Andrea, good to see you here. We've got Boston, Colorado, Louisville, Kentucky, California, Florida, Suriname, Malaysia, Amarillo. God, you guys are awesome. Tunisia in the house. We've got another Tunisia. We've got San Jose, California, Todd in Jacksonville, Illinois. We've got South Carolina. What's going on? We've got Amsterdam. We've got Reno. We've got California, Romania. You guys are epic. Thank you so much. Make sure as you're joining in this broadcast to comment where you're watching from, share with your friends, but also hit that like button so we get some good engagement going. I'm going to talk a little bit about what we've heard recently regarding coconut oil and the good old American Heart Association, and I want to give you my true thoughts on what's going on here so that we can actually talk about it a little bit. So, in case you didn't know, what happened last week, there was a study that came out that was fairly popular, or at least getting a lot of momentum, surrounding the world of coconut oil, with the American Heart Association saying that coconut oil was unhealthy and continues to be unhealthy, based on some pretty flimsy evidence, to be completely honest. What they did is they looked at some studies, they looked at a couple of things, they looked at a couple of analyses that saw that there was an increase in LDL cholesterol when people were consuming excess amounts of coconut oil. I'm going to close this blind here really quick because it's just driving me crazy. Hang on. There we go, that's a lot better. So essentially what they were looking at was saturated fat and the overall relationship with LDL cholesterol. Well, a lot of us know that that is kind of old science. Glenn Gibson, what's going on? We've got Glenn Gibson from Newbury Park, California. That's where I'm at. Good to see you, man. So what I really want to talk about on this video is less about what the AHA did wrong and more about what's really happening in your body with coconut oil, because so many people have been asking. Well, what we have to look at is in that study, they specifically say you should be still consuming polyunsaturated fats, you should still be consuming canola oil, you should still be consuming olive oil. It even mentions that it's okay to fry your foods as long as it's in olive oil or canola oil. Well, if you ask me, that's pretty evident that this is a study that's been funded by probably the wheat industry, the corn industry. It makes pretty darn obvious, right? They're obviously saying that it's okay to use canola oil, but don't use coconut oil. Well, when you start looking at how the study really plays out, it makes a lot of sense. But what we have to look at here is coconut oil is a saturated fat versus a polyunsaturated fat like olive oil or canola oil. Well, what's the difference, and what does it really mean when it comes down to what's happening in your body and how it affects your cholesterol levels and how it affects some of these other things? Okay, well, for instance, a saturated fat, the best way to describe it is like a dinner table. Okay, a dinner table that has every single seat at the table occupied. That is the hydrogen bonds of a saturated fat. So every single seat at the dinner table, imagine a big sort of Last Supper style dinner table with every single seat occupied. No one else can get in. No one good, no one bad. Okay? Now I want you to envision another table. Okay? A table that has a couple seats available. Well, those couple seats available act as basically open seats where anyone can go and sit down. A good person, a bad person, a not so good smelling person, just anyone can go and sit there. Well, the saturated fat is the one that has all the seats occupied. It's saturated, right? Saturated with hydrogen double bonds. Nothing else can get in. Very, very stable. Okay? Then you look at the unsaturated fats, the polyunsaturated fats. They have lots of room for bad things to come in. They have things where they can get oxidized. So it's a lot easier for those unsaturated fats like the olive oils and the canola oils to actually go rancid and go bad and make you sick. compared to saturated fats. So the fact that the American Heart Association has the audacity to actually say that you can go ahead and fry your foods. It doesn't matter if you're eating fried chicken or if you're eating fried this or that or you're eating beer battered fried this. As long as it's fried in coconut oil, or fried in olive oil or canola oil, you're fine, right? Okay, so you're now taking a fat that has the ability to become extremely oxidized and extremely toxic and extremely inflammatory to so many different components of your body, and you're now going to heat it to where it's not stable, and you're gonna allow it to become totally oxidized. Not saying you could fry your food, period. You shouldn't fry your food in coconut oil either. But come on, how one-sided can we possibly be and obvious? And I hate to break it, and I hate to be this kind of guy, which, by the way, guys, if you guys are just joining in, make sure you comment where you're watching from, what's going on in Puerto Rico, and make sure you're hitting that like button so that we're getting a lot of engagement, we're getting a lot of thumbs up on this. I definitely want to make sure you're inviting people, you're sharing this video. I love talking to you guys. So Diego, you keep asking, saturated fat good or bad for testosterone production? It is good for testosterone production, definitely. Adam in North Carolina, Miramar, Florida. Jonathan, what's going on? We've got Jeremiah in Kansas. We've got Chi-Town in the house. Freddie, what's going on? We've got Mr. Valdez in California. What's going on, my friend? Good to see a lot of people jumping on here. Guys, please make sure you hit the thumbs up button. I can't stress that enough, how much that helps these videos. So please do me a favor. If you're getting something out of my videos, just do me a favor by always hitting that thumbs up button. Okay, we've got Rio de Janeiro, Brazil in the house. We've got Orlando in the house. We've got Malaysia. We've got more Chicago. Oregon. Josh, what's going on in Oregon, my friend? We've got Terrence in Seattle. We've got, Odessa, Texas, Louisville, Lorenzo in Arizona. We've got Pembroke Pines, Florida, the UK. Okay, you guys are awesome. Thank you all for sharing. Thank you for doing what you're doing. Now I got to get into the good stuff and get a little bit heated about this whole situation. I did a video on Facebook and it went totally epic viral talking about just this. Okay, what ends up happening? Do we really think that the American Heart Association really truly has our best health in mind? Let's be real for a second, okay? And I'm not being some guy that's just coming out here and being anti-establishment. That's not what I am. I'm a realist, okay? But do we really think that the American Heart Association, do we really think that these big associations like this really have it in for our best interest and our best health? What do they have to benefit from that? They would much rather have us be sick and have us being a pawn in whatever scheme is going on there, right? It just makes a lot more sense. So when we look at studies that start talking about how certain things are bad and how all of a sudden, since coconut oil has gotten so popular, all of a sudden the American Heart Association is telling us that it's bad, well, newsflash, it kind of means that the industry is going a way that they don't want it to go, meaning people like you are actually watching these videos and learning, right? So we are learning, right? I'm here standing in front of the camera explaining real health, explaining alternative health, explaining things that in a lot of ways hurt certain industries. And you guys are being a part of that by learning how to take care of your health in an alternative way from what the mainstream typical studies will show you. This means you're going out and you're buying things like coconut oil. It means you're going out and you're buying things like flax. You're doing these different things, right? Well, that's hurting a lot of these industries. Imagine what that's doing to the corn industry. Imagine what that can be doing to the wheat industry. Really think about it. It's hurting them because you're going out and you're making better decisions that are for your health, but not stimulating the economy they want to be stimulated. So that is why I'm happy that the AHA came out with this. By the AHA coming out with this study, it's proving to me, at least, that this kind of stuff is working. Hopping in front of a camera, people that are, personal brands, whether it's Dr. Axe, Dr. Mercola, Mark Hyman, whatever, all of us are making a difference to the point where we're making a big enough impact that the American Heart Association has to say, we have to come up with something to try to stop these people from buying as much coconut oil as they are. Now, I'm not here to say that you should go out and eat a ton of saturated fats. Hopefully you've seen my videos on saturated fats, and yes, there is a correlation between some saturated fats and VLDL levels of cholesterol. Okay, but we have to remember that there are also like 16 or 17 different kinds of LDL cholesterols. There's VLDLs, there's regular LDLs, low density lipoproteins, very low density lipoproteins, and saturated fats don't always affect those. If we go back to the 1950s, 60s, the whole Ancel Keys thing, I'm gonna go down memory lane here for a second. Ancel Keys was someone who talked a lot about saturated fats being bad back in the early days. He was one of the ones that really made the big impact on why fats are bad and why we need to go with a low-fat, high-carbohydrate diet. Ancel Keys did a study where I think it was either 22 or 24 countries, and he wanted to prove that saturated fats were horrible for atherosclerosis, horrible for cholesterol, and were overall just bad. Well, what ended up being found out with Mr. Keys was that he found with his study that saturated fats did in fact increase LDL cholesterol, and they did do some bad things. But, this is a huge but, what was found is that he only referenced 6 of the countries of the 22 or 24 that he looked at. So later on down the line, when everyone looked at all of the countries, it was found that the other remaining 18 had improved levels of cholesterol, increased HDL, lower LDL, lower VLDL, and overall healthier people. But that wasn't included in the study because it didn't benefit the direction. Well, come around 2016, everyone finds out that the sugar industry was behind a lot of these high carb, low fat promoting diets, right? The sugar industry was behind some of these studies that made fats out to be so bad. There's not much of a difference with what's happening right now. The problem is they're purposely attacking something that's a lot more, I don't know, how do I say this? It's really going to hit home with a lot of people because we're not just hitting fats in general, right? We're hitting coconut oil. It's almost like I want to create a shirt that says save the coconuts. If you guys agree with me, just go ahead and comment save the coconuts. I just think it's awesome. I think I almost want to start a campaign that's like hashtag save the coconuts. It just drives me crazy that we're picking on one particular fat, okay? You're not coming out and they're not saying that chicken thigh fat is bad, or they're not coming out and they're saying like fat from your ribeye steak is bad. No, they're going after coconut oil. They're going after the healthy one. And they're doing that simply because they know that a lot of people are misled, right? So they're trying to prey on the fact that people are going to go out there, they're going to buy coconut oil just because they hear it from some guy on the internet. So they're going to say, hey, the American Heart Association can come in here and actually tell you what's right and what's wrong and what you need to do to save your health. It's extremely frustrating, and you can totally tell that I get a little bit passionate about it because when I saw that study come out, it blew my hair back. I couldn't believe it. I thought that we were making the right steps towards being truly a more healthy country. I really thought so. And then this comes out and just blows me away. And all the work that I've been putting in over the last year towards promoting coconut oil, promoting healthy saturated fats, it feels like I took 2 steps forward and 4 steps back because now I'm having to explain why I'm not a terrible person for saying that coconut oil is good for the last few years. And I've had some people say, Thomas, you need to hop on and you need to do a video and just admit that you were wrong about coconut oil. Because the American Heart Association has come out and said that it's bad. You need to, Thomas, humble yourself and go out there and say that you were wrong. Guys, I will tell you, I am the first person to ever admit when I am wrong. I will tell you right here on live broadcast in front of however many people are watching this right now, that I have been wrong in some of my videos with some of my studies. But I always make a point of either putting it in the description or making sure that it's mentioned if I am wrong, or if science comes in and bites me in the ass later on. I will fix it and I will put it out there because I'm honest. And I will tell you that every single time. So if I'm wrong, you can expect me to tell you that I'm wrong. And if I dive into more research on this coconut oil thing, even more than I already have over the last 5-6 years, I will hop on here and I will own it. I will tell you that I've steered you wrong. But right now, it's getting to the point where the AHA is taking advantage of people that don't know any better. They're taking advantage of the mainstream population that just wants to just get healthy, and they're looking for someone to help them get down that path. And one of the things we have to remember is us as people, we are always naturally gravitating towards someone to follow, right? We're always gravitating towards a leader. And I see that's why I'm here, right? I'm here, I have the ability on the internet to educate a lot of people. I like being a leader. I like helping you guys get along the lines and understand health. Well, the AHA and some of these other organizations, they also know that people need a leader. And sometimes they go out to the blind and they ultimately become their leader by giving them information that is interesting or captivating, like this coconut oil one. So anyway, I don't want to go into too much detail on a rant. I just wanted to hop in here and clear some of that up. So I'm going to do a more detailed video here in the next couple of weeks. So do make sure that you're paying attention because that's going to come out and it's going to be a really good video. In the meantime, we've got a lot of people that are joining in. So make sure you comment where you're watching from. And if you haven't already, please make sure that you hit that like button, hit that thumbs up button. It's right there underneath the video. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. The more thumbs up that we get, the more that this video gets out there and helps a lot of people. We got Kansas City, Missouri in the house. We got Ryan in Hawaii. What's going on, Ryan? We've got Daniel. What's going on, Daniel Moriano? We've got Fremont, California in the house. Vegas, Studio City, California. We got some haters that are back. That's always good. We got Malaysia in the house. Everyone, Puerto Rico, Canada, New York, NYU Med Center, awesome. Calgary. We've got more Puerto Rico, Canada, Manchester, New Hampshire. We've got Orlando, Florida. We've got New York, Ohio, Miami in the house. Salisbury, North Carolina, St. Louis, Milpitas. Been there. We've got, you guys are super awesome. Austin, Texas, Honolulu, Virginia, Columbia, Roll Tide, Chandler, Arizona. You guys are great. So make sure you keep on commenting where you're watching from. And let's dive into a little bit of Q&A. So if you have a question, give me a chance to go ahead and answer it. I'm going to answer 3 questions tonight, and you can always continue to post your questions. I will check them out later, and whenever I get the chance, I will pick out the ones that I think are the best videos to do. Michelle, good to hear that you're 7 pounds down. Awesome. That's really, really great. Auburn, New York, what's going on? And then we've got, Ollie Khan, the guy that's always coming on here saying disparaging things. Why haven't I blocked you yet? I need to do that. Someone asked if oil pulling is legit. I don't want to necessarily waste a question on that because I've already got a great video. So if you go on my channel and you just type in oil pulling, I have a video on that already. And then coconut milk or cream, good or bad to just drink straight? It's a good question. So here's the thing with coconut oil and coconut cream. You said coconut milk or coconut cream. Coconut milk and coconut cream are close to the same thing. Basically, coconut cream is just a very concentrated form of coconut milk. You're just getting a higher fat content. So you still have a tiny bit of the lauric acid, you still have a tiny bit of the MCTs. The big thing is you're not getting as much of the usable fat, okay? You're getting more of kind of the fiber and actually some of the even little bits of starches and a little bit of sugar in there. So you're not gonna get as much out of it as you would be if you're just, say, having some regular coconut oil. But coconut cream, as you know, I'm a huge fan of adding it to like some almond milk that you're gonna drink before bed. It still has a very high fat profile that's really good. It's much better than a lot of other fat sources, a heck of a lot better than using whipped cream or using heavy cream or anything like that. So I hope that that helps it out. I mean, it gives you a little bit of a insight into it, but it's a little bit of a tough question to answer, excuse me. Someone says, will MCT oil or coconut oil pre-workout ruin the benefits of working out fasted? That's a good question. Yes, essentially it would. So if you are using any kind of oil, you're no longer fasting. So even if it's MCT oil, which is going to help you burn a little bit more fat, it's going to do some things. It's going to turn into the ketones in your body. It's going to convert into acetyl coenzyme A a lot faster and therefore go through that process of creating more ketones. Well, we have to remember that it's still calories and still breaking a fast. So if you're fasting, and you got to make sure you keep the MCTs out until you're breaking that fast. Everyone, make sure you continue to comment where you're watching from. So yes, that does mean that if you're doing Bulletproof Coffee, it does effectively break a fast. It's not officially a fast if you have Bulletproof Coffee. And no, it's not a biochem degree on the wall. I wish it was. No, this has to do with my psychology background. So believe it or not, my background is psychology. And I just so happened to fall in love with nutrition and worked in the right industry and worked in the right world, being in the healthcare industry. This is where I fell into. This is what I love. We got Australia in the house, we got North Carolina in the house, and straight coffee is fine, yes. Freddie, you asked about counting net carbs or total. I had a video on that as well, so just go into my channel and type in net carbs and you'll find it. Greensboro, North Carolina, what's going on? Guys, make sure that you continue to comment where you're watching from, but also make sure you hit that like button. We've got some haters that don't like psychology backgrounds apparently, that's all good. And then someone says I'm probably the only vegan that likes watching my videos. You know, I do a lot of topics surrounding the world of vegan and vegetarian as well. In fact, one of my main editors is a vegan, and yeah, she edits a lot of videos, even ones that aren't necessarily vegan related. So it's all good. But Michelle, good to see you here. I know you said you got to go, you were on break, so I'm glad you were able to hop on live. Guys, make sure that you do, by the way, turn on that little bell in the bottom right of your screen, because that's going to turn on notifications so that you know whenever I push out a video. I'm doing videos 3 to 4 times per week right now, so I'm kicking them out like crazy, and I wanna make sure that you guys are seeing them, because every once in a while I'll post one and it just like doesn't do very well, and it's like, darn it, it kind of bums me out. So I wanna make sure that you're turning on notifications so you see that. I'm so glad that so many people have learned so much, that's awesome. So what do you do to get over a keto flu? That's actually a really good question. Some of the best ways that you can get over a ketogenic flu, like getting into that process of going into ketosis, is to increase your salt intake and increase your water intake. One of the biggest reasons that people end up feeling kind of cruddy when they first go into ketosis is their mineral balance just goes way off, okay? You're dropping a lot of water really fast, so you're losing minerals, and it ends up making it so you feel pretty lethargic. So just simply increasing your sodium level will actually help you out a whole lot. So it really makes a big difference. We got this one hater, Ollie, on here. He is just like loving it. He's telling me that I should do all this dirty stuff. Like, what is going on? Okay, I need to learn how to block some people. Thank you guys so much for everyone that's saying thank you, and you're learning so much from the channel. Someone says, could you comment if MCT oil powder is better than using exogenous ketones? That's a good question. So here's the thing. Exogenous ketones and MCT powder are essentially going to convert into the same thing in the body in a lot of ways, but ketones, exogenous ketones, technically don't have the calorie count. They're just the salts. So when your body creates ketones, your body is creating, they're basically distilled down to ketone salts. The exogenous ketones are the salt version, so they technically don't have calories, although at the end of the day, energy-wise, they're all doing the same kind of thing. Andy, thank you so much for commenting and saying that the videos are great. I really love it. I love doing these videos. Low carb, high fat as a vegetarian. It's a little hard to do, but it's definitely doable. It's definitely good. And someone says, thank you for your service. Awesome. I don't know how you knew that I was in the military, but I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. And then Lilia Keller says, don't let anyone discourage you. No, don't worry. It's just, as these comments come in, I like to read them, and sometimes I read one that's really just random. Giselle, thank you for saying you love my videos. Ryan, you say, what's more effective for fat loss? Hang on. For a meso-endomorph, keto or carb cycling? Still keto, definitely. Carb cycling can be really dangerous on the body just because you're constantly messing with your insulin level, so it can be really, really rough. Trevor says, stop giving the haters attention. I know. It's not that I'm trying to personally give them attention. It's the fact that I'm scrolling through and I see them. Dylan, I was Air Force, by the way. Thank you for asking. Can you do a shout out from your wife? We love your videos. So hang on. Jay Fur, I don't know what your wife's name is, but I'm shouting out your wife because you asked me to. So don't know what her name is, but here's a shout out to Jay Fur's wife. Low carb vegan, we got a low carb vegan in the house. That's not easy to do. So Andrea Cooper, watch my videos every day. Thank you for joining in. Thank you for chiming in. Guys, if you can, make sure that you hit that like button. What are my thoughts on olive oil? So olive oil is still, a partially unsaturated fat. So, which means if it's not being heated, it's okay. If you're putting it on salad, things like that, it can be utilized. There's a lot of good things. It isn't the best omega-3, omega-6 balance. If you know my videos, you know I'm always trying to keep a higher omega-3 profile, so higher omega-3 to omega-6. Olive oil doesn't quite put you there. So olive oil is good in moderation because it is good in terms of giving you the alpha linoleic acid that can convert into omega-3s later on down the line, but it's not nearly as good as, say, using like walnut oil or avocado oil or even straight up fish oil or coconut oil. Can you eat more calories in a day if you play basketball? That's kind of a no-brainer. Yeah, you can. Someone asked if I have a PhD. Nope, I don't. My background is actually completely in psychology. But my whole world has been in nutrition. So if you guys don't know my background, I was in the healthcare industry. I owned an ancillary lab services company for a while, and I sold that back in 2012. So I worked really, really closely with a lot of physicians. The Mayo Clinic, I worked with a lot of physicians in that world. And that's how I got sucked into this whole world that I'm in now, is I knew so many doctors that were sort of anti-establishment doctors. They were these doctors that just didn't really believe in the conventional way. Because we were a third-party ancillary lab services company, we were working with a lot of doctors that weren't even on the insurance grid. They were doctors that were fee-for-service doctors, meaning they were a lot of doctors that were working concierge medicine or working with patients that were paying them cash because there were things that weren't necessarily reimbursable. So I worked with a lot of doctors that were really different. And that's how I got into this world and fell in love with it. When I was 280 pounds before, those of you that don't know, I was 280 pounds before. I was super overweight when I was working in that corporate world. And it was a lot of the doctors that I was around that taught me what I know. And that's how I changed my life. That's how I got on the right track. So if you don't already, that's the whole story behind me. I was really overweight and changed my life based on real legitimate medical knowledge, not the stuff that's in the American Heart Association studies right now. So we've got Arif Ishmael says, a physician here, my videos are legit and solid. Hey, I appreciate that. That means a lot coming from a doctor. That really, really does, especially, a good old physician, because a lot of times you end up hearing, Ishmael, Dr. Ishmael, you definitely know so many of the doctors out there, they just go by the book. And it's based on such Newtonian physics and such BS that really doesn't have to do much with how our bodies are functioning today. I mean, it was built by the pharma companies. I know this because when I worked in the lab services company, we were side by side with the pharma companies, and unfortunately, it's a really nasty world out there. So anyway, Hassan Production says it's his streaming and he wants to get 100 likes on his stream. Maybe they'll hop over after this. Okay, I've gotten a low battery signal, so I appreciate it. B-Trigger, you say I'm a class act. I appreciate that, man. Really, really means a lot. Cheat day allowed on keto. I would recommend doing a cheat day maybe every 2 to 3 weeks. You're very, very welcome for sharing my story. It's awesome. That's what I do. That's why I'm here. I think I need to relate to that story more often because sometimes it's easy for people to think that I'm just another fitness guy, just another fitness model. And it's important that you guys know that I'm a real person. I've been through the ringer. I've been through stuff. I was overweight. I have changed my life. I'm not going back. And now I'm here doing what I do now because I try to help as many people as possible. So someone says, please do a full video on my story with before photos, etc. You know, actually, believe it or not, if you look at the main video on my channel, like the main video as if you were a new subscriber, like the channel trailer, I go through it, I share it. And if you guys don't already look at me on Facebook, I've got my before and after pictures there all the time. But yeah, it's definitely no joke. I might even be able to find one on my computer that I can show you. If you guys bear with me really quick, I can flip the camera around. Hang on. Bear with me. I'm gonna sit down real quick. Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I'm finding one of my before and after pictures for you guys because I know a lot of people are asking, so bear with me. If you're just joining in, guys, just hang on there. All I'm trying to do right now is pick up one of my before and after pictures so that I can show you exactly what it's all about. Here we go. Okay, you guys ready for this? Check this out. I don't know if you can see that real well. So that was me, 280 pounds, and that's one of my magazine covers. So that's just the best kind of before and after that I can show you right here. So hopefully you guys saw that. If you guys if you guys did see that, let me know. Let me know that the video came through, or excuse me, that the picture came through. And someone says before Air Force. Actually, believe it or not, it was after Air Force. So I was actually really healthy growing up. I was a cross-country runner. Then I went in the military. And sorry, I did say holy yes out loud. I'm sorry, guys. Hopefully I didn't lose some followers. You guys know I do cuss from time to time. Someone says I like my office. I did this last video too, but let me show you a little bit of my office here. Oh, and look who's still here. Mr. Timmy. Wouldn't be a video without Timmy, right? Anyway, guys, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, but if you can, give me one last big round of likes, one last big round of comments, just so that we can say goodbye. And guess what? I don't know if I have anyone watching from Alaska right now, but I'm going to be in Alaska tomorrow, which is Thursday through Tuesday. Okay, so I'm going to be in Alaska from the 22nd through the 27th. If you know anyone in Anchorage or you're in Anchorage, give me a shout out. Feel free to fire me an email. Feel free to fire me a message because I would love to see people. So if you know anyone in Alaska, let me know. Or if you have just some good ideas on stuff to do in Alaska, let me know. I'm going to do some little bit of fishing, going to probably do some halibut fishing and have some fun. So you guys are super awesome. Thank you again. One last quick round of likes if you can. Just hit that like button. I'm gonna go ahead and sign this off and give this a big old share if you can as well. Thank you again. Remember, it's not always about what you read. The American Heart Association isn't necessarily correct, but what can I say? I'm not a doctor, so you can only take what I say with a grain of salt. You guys are awesome. See you soon.